Hi Megan, thank you for your question. So in this question we need to simplify the fraction of 6 over square root of 12. And we know that whenever we write a fraction, it's not proper to have a rational number in the denominator. So square root of 12, we want to get rid of the square root sign. And to do that, we're going to do something called rationalizing the denominator, and that will get rid of the square root sign. So to rationalize the denominator, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by the denominator becomes the numerator, and we keep it the same. And the reason is that the square root of 12 divided by the square root of 12 gives us 1. So we're not changing our number. We are, because when you multiply by 1, it doesn't change it, but this will help us to get rid of that square root, and this is how it does that. So when we're multiplying, we're going to multiply the numerators together, so that just gives us 6 square root of 12. We just leave it like that. And on the bottom, whenever you multiply a square root by itself, you in effect take away the square root, because when you take the square root of 12 and then multiply it by the square root of 12, you're just going to get 12. Try it on the calculator and you'll see how by multiplying those two together you get rid of the square root. So we are on track at simplifying. We now have the denominator without the square root, so we have successfully rationalized the denominator. Now we need to simplify the top, the numerator. So the numerator, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify the square root of 12. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to change it into, we know that 12, a multiple of 12 is 3, or factors of 12 are the square root of 3 and the square root of 4, because the square root of 3 times the square root of 4 will give us the square root of 12, all over 12. So I've expanded out the square root of 12 into square root of 3 times square root of 4. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this. The square root of 4 gives me the whole number of 2. So I now have 6 square root of 3 times 2 all over 12. Then I can simplify 6 times 2. That's going to give me 12 square root of 3 over 12. And lastly, the 12s cancel out and I get the square root of 3 as my answer. So really I see this as a two-step problem. The first problem is that we need to get rid of the square root in the denominator by rationalizing the denominator, which we did here. Once we got rid of that square root in the denominator, we then had to simplify the numerator. And I simplified the numerator by deconstructing this square root into the square root of 3 times the square root of 4, and then just kept simplifying further until I got down to my answer as equal to the square root of 3. I hope this helps, and thank you for watching. Keep those questions coming.